All right, welcome to another edition of our Create the Ripple Heart Driven Hustle podcast. I am really excited about today. I always start these off, Karolina. I say the same thing every time. I think I'm going to say something different. I never do because I'm legitimately excited every single time I do these. So before I get too far into the interview, you can tell there's already a great joy here for me. I want to give a big kudos and nod to our the network that hosts us. So the Divas That Care is run by Candice Gish. She's an incredible woman. I've known her for a number of years. Not only is she a mom of 4 amazing girls that she's homeschooling all of them, she's also a wife. She runs a couple of businesses. And then she's got this little pet project. I shouldn't say pet project, just like this huge, amazing networking community called Divas That Care. She's really committed to changing the word diva. And I get the opportunity to be a hostess here. And I absolutely love it. So I want to give kudos to them. Of course, for the people who are listening and maybe you've been shared this link, please make some time to like, to share, to comment, to subscribe, wherever the button is. It actually means a lot to us. And I start this off every single time and I do the ask because, well, I think you ask, then you get a chance to receive. And I think it's really important for people, if you get some value out of this, it does make a huge difference to the content creators. That's us, the ones you're listening to, when we're taking time out of our days. I mean, I'm a busy mom. And we take some time to sort of like pull our hearts out of our chests and be like, here it is, right? And kind of wear it out there. So it means a lot to us if you can make some time to do that. Again, all of our guests' information for you to get in touch with them will always be down below. And so if you love what you see here, please reach out to our guests. We love that. And if you'd like to be featured on one of our upcoming podcasts, feel free to reach out to me. My information is also below. And I am definitely open to chatting with you about your story. Okay. Enough of all of that. It's kind of like, here's the bathroom and turn your cell phones off and all that kind of stuff, right? Anyway, so I am really excited for my guest today because uh-oh, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. It disappeared from me. Sorry about that, guys. As always, I say that we're not going to, go back and adjust or anything else like that. So here we go. Anyway, real time here, people. For all those women who are maybe sitting back there and wondering, do I do this? Can I get it perfect? I actually posted on my Facebook page today sort of the setup in terms of stuff like this. And I've never been afraid to put something out there to get it started. But our guest actually reached out to me after she watched another one of our interviews. And I'm so grateful that you did. And so I really want you to start it off for us and share with us your story. What brought you here today?
Okay, cool. Well, so my name is Karoline Stevens, and from Journey to Empowerment, I'm an empowerment coach. And well, the way my story sort of unfolded was that about 10 or maybe 13 years ago now, my life totally fell apart. My marriage of 20 years failed. We lost our family home, lost investments, and I seriously had no money and only a very small part-time business
Mhm.
because I had been a stay-at-home mom in my life. And so, whoa, I mean, this was freaky. And I was blaming the economy. I was kind of, feeling self-pity for myself and was blaming my ex-husband, blaming myself. But then a friend came to me and he kind of put his arm around my shoulder and he said, Carolina, what you've created is because of your way of thinking, your patterns of thinking and your way of being. And all you need to do is change those and you can create something different. And man, you have no idea how much, first of all, it resonated with me, but also it meant, wow, I can actually do something. I'm in charge. I can change this around because I felt like I was a victim of life was happening to me. And so from that moment onwards, I went like, okay, if this is how life works, I'm going to roll up my sleeves and I'm going to do this. I'm going to prove this to myself. And so I spent literally every spare cent I had on healing practitioners and on coaches to first of all get myself on my feet, build a business that was going to support me. And I was like a healing practitioner, massage therapy. I had no idea about business. I was good at what I did, but I needed help in the business arena.
Mhm.
But also, I got healing practitioners to help me turn my subconscious inside out because I wanted to know if I played a part in creating this, how I did it, because I sure as heck didn't want to do it again, right? And so it was an amazing experience, and it was actually shocking because I had no idea how many disempowering beliefs, emotions, and thoughts were lurking there. And I could see really clearly how they had been the thread, that undercurrent that had created what I was experiencing. And there were beliefs, about myself as a woman, about life, about money, about men, like I'm not good enough, I'm stupid, women are second-rate citizens, life is hard and a struggle, men can't be trusted, and I mean tons and tons more. And so as I was in this process of healing my childhood wounds, letting go of those beliefs, facing my insecurities and fears, and started to turn this around, it was amazing. I started to feel more comfortable in my own skin, started to be more empowered, had more freedom, and exactly what my friend had predicted started to happen. Life started to mirror my new empowered consciousness back to me in the form of greater opportunities for more income, more ease and flow in my life, and also more empowered and authentic relationships. And so I built a successful business. And then 4 years later, I met the love of life, and now actually I was living in New Zealand still at the time, but now live in Arizona and basically living my dream life. And so what I got out of all of this was really that in life, we don't get what we want. In life, we get what we are. And that's a quote by Farah Gray. And and so that's why I'm so passionate about this, because if I can do it, anybody can do it. And so now I love helping other women to peel off those layers of their own unresolved issues, that are blocking this beautiful potential that you have and that we all have. And once we can access this, then life, there's freedom there. We have the answers. We're empowered. We live we can create a life of purpose and, yeah, joy.
Joy. I love that. I mean, anybody who's been listening to these, and there's a number of these on my YouTube channel, and you and I chatted about this before we got started, that I am often intrigued that whatever my guest is talking about is like in line with something I've been sharing or something I'm going through. And I'm reminded over and over and over again that this human experience is a shared experience, and that when we take the time to be vulnerable, right, which is not about being weak, it's about being real and authentic and raw. And being vulnerable takes courage because it means showing up, right? And I love how you've said, I did it, and you took this radical responsibility. I've recently been, studying some of that work, right? The Hawaiian principle, right? I love you, please forgive me, thank you, I'm sorry. Some of that stuff is just significant because it says, hey, I did it. All right. I did it to myself. I wasn't paying attention to the stuff that's going on in my mind. Now, I know that you had talked a lot about the word empowerment, and this is very much, I think, a feminine word. Not that men can't feel empowered, but we as women love this word. But let's talk about some of the tools that I know that you use to stay empowered. And I love this because I've heard once that you should never hire a coach that isn't living the life that you want. Right? And so it's really neat. And so for someone who's listening and feeling like maybe they've heard this before, I think it's significant that you have the life, you're living the life, you put in the hard work to get there, right, on yourself. So let's talk about some of those empowerment tools that you're using on a daily basis so people can walk away from this with something actionable as they hopefully reach out to get in touch with you.
Sure. I mean, one of the things I always do, I always have a mentor or a coach I work with, because I believe if I want to up-level my life and if I want to keep helping my clients up-level, I need the same support. And I've always done this, and I'd highly recommend it.
I
The other
do.
thing
I
is,
love that. I love that you brought that up. I'm pausing you because it's like, I
yeah, yeah.
agree. I look at my life, right, and the successes that I've had, and I have a great little journal that says, where are you having success and why? And I think, well, it's because I have accountability or because I am committed to. And it's that person who, for an hour a week, right, holds space, not for anything else. The phones are down, and it's like this human connection. So kudos, ladies. It's not a shame to reach out and say, hey, I need support, because even the epic women like our guests today reach out. So again, human shared experience. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, totally. And the other thing I do consistently is do healing work. So do the inner work. And one of the modalities which I offer to my clients, it's called the journey. And it's a healing modality that if something doesn't work for you here in your external life, it helps you to find this root cause. It finds this thread, this undercurrent that may have been running your life and getting you to where you are. And then it brings up whatever time of your life that was and helps you resolve it. It's gentle, it's complete, helps you resolve it, let go of it, and at the same time connect deeper to this part that's already whole now. That part that is this potential, the part that has all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe that's who we really are, and that's where our intuition is, and that's where we show up, and we are empowered. But
Mm-hmm.
then life is not always perfect, and stuff happens, right? And so as kids, for example, I mean, it could be as simple as somebody takes your toy away, and you go like, they don't like me. When we don't know what to do with those emotions,
Yeah.
so we tend to shut them down. And so we go through life accumulating, a boyfriend dumps us, we go, I'm not lovable. And, just the grief and the sadness. And so we're
Mm-hmm.
ending up like this onion with layers and layers of emotions. And then we put the mask over the top, and that's we present that to the world, right? Like
Yes.
I've got it all
Yes.
together.
I got it all together. And I mean, you add in things like Instagram and Facebook, right? And there's the face and there's the filter. So I think that's definitely something that we run into even more so now. Mm-hmm.
But often something happens in life, right? Our health breaks down, our relationship breaks down, something breaks down to get our attention. It's like life saying, or soul saying, hey, there's more to life, there's more to you. And then it's an invitation to break open and to break this mask, take the mask off and actually dive within. And so
Mm-hmm.
this is what I keep doing myself, and what I help my clients do is peeling off the layers of this disempowering beliefs and emotions that we all have,
Mm-hmm.
because as we do this ongoing healing work, more and more of this potential and of the wholeness becomes accessible and becomes available.
And I think that's really, really neat. And I'm hoping that our listeners are really picking up on the energy and the vitality that I can feel like you're just, showing up in this conversation. And I can remember when I've been talking with someone about, a piece of my empowerment journey, and I shared it, and that person copy pasted and shared that with a friend of theirs, because they said, my friend, her experience is mirroring yours. And I need her to remember that if she can do the work, she will get through it, and there's life on the other side. And I think that's one of the reasons why I was just so touched when we had a chance to connect to do this interview, because I know that there's a lot of people out there. I mean, myself as one. Worthiness is a big issue, right? There are some of these issues, again, human shared experience. We are not alone in it. And if one of us can break through it, there is a step and a process and tools, many, many tools, right? Like you said, you were seeing therapists and healers and prioritizing your healing. And that's something I say to people all the time. Like, self-care is not just about the bubble bath. Self-care is about doing the work that you need to, not saying, oh, I'm bad at this, or buying into the drama, which is so easy to do, right? And then you become in this cycle. Whereas an empowered person, there's a responsibility taking, but there's also this light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm so glad that I'm hoping our listeners are picking up on that. If you're feeling like you're stuck, there is life on the other side. So I know that you've just recently launched a Facebook group. Is that correct? Because I know our listeners are probably going to want to reach out and get in touch and get to know more about you. So let's talk about some of the ways that they can do that, so they can continue to feel it out and see how they might be able to work with you.
Yeah. Well, the Facebook group, this is like early beginnings, and so I'm keeping it pretty small at the moment. But if somebody really resonates with what I'm talking about, please get in touch, and yeah, I'm sure we can open the doors for you. But what I really want to offer is a 20-minute, just like an exploratory conversation.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, if you're in a situation right now, I mean, a lot of people are suffering. You know, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of pain out there, a lot of uncertainty that
Mm-hmm.
often triggers our old trauma, our old pain, right? So it's not only with dealing with what's currently happening, but also all the stuff from the past is here,
Mm-hmm.
and so that makes it so much harder to deal with. And so, yeah, I would like to just offer it as a person. If you want to just have a chat with me, if you feel like, whoa, I'm snowed under, please call me. You know, like I'll leave the link at the in the show
Mm-hmm.
notes,
Mm-hmm.
just for 20 minutes human to human chat, or exploring how you could empower yourself more, how you could, you know, walk towards this light that's at the end of your tunnel.
At the tunnel. Yes, I
Yeah.
love that. Um, so one of the things I really love to create space for when we do these interviews is an opportunity for our guests to really show up and say, you know what, I'm just going to turn the camera to you and say, what is it that you want to leave with the people? And so this is kind of where we're at in this conversation with you and me. And I really wanted to say, like, whatever you're feeling like you want to say that, because I think that's important, whatever is on your mind and your heart.
Well, really, my message is, you know, don't let your past hijack your future. You know, you are the creator of your life, and without beating yourself up, whatever's showing up at this moment is perfect. It's the catalyst for growing into a more empowered and your next version of you. And so, if you're finding yourself in a place you don't want to be, just know that you don't have to stay there, that you've got everything inside of you to free yourself and to get the clarity on your next step, to unstuck yourself. And yeah, if it resonates, I'd love to be able to support you in this process. You know, the healing of the past, so you can let it go and be free. Do the forgiveness, let go of, you know, the old baggage, so you can be
Yeah.
free and just be yourself, your authentic self, and just feel happy in your skin and in who you are. And step by step, create your dream, create what you want to create in life. And I believe you have it in you. And I'd love to see you live your full, empowered, meaningful life.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That was the first thing I noticed when I was reading over the questionnaire, right, that I send out. And you said, don't let your past hijack your future. And I think that sometimes it's really easy for us, right? Because we get stuck in these habits. And what's interesting, so I love words, and I think we create our world with our word. I don't think, I know we create our world with
Mm-hmm.
our word, right? We set intentions, and unfortunately, or fortunately, probably a combination of both, we're talking to ourselves all the time, right? And so some of those things are just running in the background. So we're creating and creating and creating and creating. And one of the things I love about the word stuck is when you look it up in the dictionary, it literally means stick. And I was like, oh, so what's interesting for our listeners, let me explain. The word stuck means stick. So when I think of stick, I think of the kind that my 5-year-old picks up, right? And she can break it in half, right? It's easy. It's like a twig. It's not a log, right? It's not a rock. It's not immovable. It's a stick. It's a stick. So throw it away. Like, just pick it up, break it off, throw it away. And so I remember that whenever I say, well, I feel like I'm stuck, I'm like, no, wait, that means stick. It means I'm literally using a word that means nothing to define myself. And I can change that versus I'm feeling overwhelmed. Well, that's different. We can work on that emotion, right? I'm feeling, stressed. I'm feeling disempowered. Those are avenues that you can suddenly begin to chase, take responsibility for, right? Find the root cause, right? As you say, to stop that past from hijacking your future. And so, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that just changes the whole game, I think, right? Like when you really start to own that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I love how you say, you know, this word, the awareness that, you know, also blocks, you know, I've got this block. if you really look at where's the block? There's no literally, there's not a block, right? But
Yeah.
we put those things in and then identify with them. And
Identify with
I
them.
really like that you mentioned anxiety and overwhelm and all those things, because from my experience working with lots of people, there's always something that's happened in the past that set up a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we are still caught in a stress response from the past. And then there's this undercurrent of stress, that we're experiencing. And then later on, we feel anxiety, feel depression, we feel, have this pattern running. And so, again, I want to say you don't have to live with this pattern. It's not who you are. It's a graft on your soul, basically. You can, you can peel it off and,
Peel it off.
and heal yourself and, yeah, peel it off.
And why wouldn't you
Live from
want
your
to? I
heart.
mean, this is it was something I was the other day, and a lot of people are like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just a patterned way of being, right?" So I think that that's one of the powers of working with a coach like you, because sometimes it's about perspective. I've been doing I love audiobooks, right? Learning words, etc. And one of the things came today was around some of the words we use around things like, love and those different concepts, the words around overwhelm. Just have a look at those. I mean, even for myself, when I feel anxiety, it's usually a very clear indicator to me that I'm out of integrity in some way. And it can be as simple as I was hanging out with a group of people. This happened to me a couple of days ago. They were talking about another group of people, like an out there kind of a people, right? Think like politics. And they were passing a judgment. And for me, I'm trying to live in this, everything I see is a reflection of something going on in me, right? So what does that mean, right? So I'm basically taking radical responsibility for everything. But I
Love
didn't
it.
say anything, which I wanted to, because I was like, my 5-year-old's in the room and there's nothing inappropriate being discussed. But it was out of integrity for me not to say, hey, number one, please don't speak about that stuff while she's listening, because you are giving her an impression, thoughts, concepts, ideas, opinions that are not her own. And I'm not sure that they're 100% positive for her life. Number two, I'd rather you not talk about this in my presence. It just makes me uncomfortable. But I didn't, because I like to be a people pleaser, right? That's one of my disempowering things. And then a couple of days later, I'm like, why am I anxious? But I took the time to chase that
Mm.
thought and go, I didn't, right? I gave myself for that, memo to self, next time that comes up, right? Because we get a payoff
Mm.
from that, right? The disempowering feeling of feeling anxious, rather than being like, why didn't I just say, hey? And I know this group of people that have said, no problem, sorry. And I'd be like, no, sorry. Just,
Mm.
I don't want to be, right? And so I think for our listeners, I share that because I want you to remember that this different perspective shift might come through someone like Carolina. It might come through chatting with her and giving a different perspective. And wouldn't it feel better to not feel the anxiety to chase that all the way back, so you can keep on chasing, and the next time you feel it, chase it back to something maybe a little further than a few days ago, and chase it back until you know where it is? Because I mean, and you're living proof of it. Life is pretty wonderful on the other side, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's priceless. I mean, you're facing things that can be uncomfortable. There's
Mm-hmm.
no doubt about it. But the results are priceless, totally.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it.
And
Oh my
actually,
goodness.
can I just call you on what you just said a minute ago?
Yes. Call me out. I love it. Call me up. Call me up. Yes.
I'll call you up. Well, you said I'm a people pleaser, and I just want to
Mm-hmm.
say you're not a people. That's not. You don't want to say this.
Oh, you're right. I put an
Yeah,
I am in front of something like
yeah.
that. Woo!
In
Look,
the
guys.
in the
Look at
yeah in
this.
the
Woo!
in,
Thank you.
so in the past when you weren't aware,
Wow.
you were a people
Yeah.
pleaser. Now since you're aware, you have choice.
Mm-hmm.
So thought I'd
Oh,
throw that in.
I feel really blessed. Thank you so much for
Hmm.
bringing that to my attention, because yeah, I did. Woo. See, sometimes this is the power. You guys got to witness it, like right
Have a
here.
mirror.
Right here. Wow. Okay, I'm a little in awe right now. I'm totally in awe. That's
Uh,
amazing. The stuff that lives in your blind spot that you don't even
mm.
realize. Something I've been saying for years. Very disempowering. Interesting. Well, okay. I feel like mic drop right then and there. If you needed a reason to call up this wonderful woman and just have a human to human chat, I love how you said that. That exchange right there might be a brilliant reason for you to do so. Again, thanks so much to our guest, Karolina. I'm so glad we got this opportunity. I'm sure we're going to get requests to have you back on again. So put that back there. I think repeats are awesome. And I want to say another big, huge thank you, of course, to the Divas That Care Network. And one final request to anybody who got value out of this: like, comment, share, go follow along. Hitting those buttons takes like a second, and it means so much for those of us putting the content out there, because every time you do, the algorithms kick in and this content is shared with more people just like you. So if you want to help us get this kind of message out there, that's the power of your like, comment, share, and subscribe, just in case you didn't know. Thank you so much for me. And again, thank you, Karolina, for being my guest today. I very much enjoyed this.
Yeah.
And I look
Thank you,
forward
Candice. It
to...
was awesome to be here. That was awesome.
Oh my goodness, I'm still in awe. I'm sure our guests are going to be like, what? You got schooled? I'll be like, I did. It was so good. Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you for blessing my life today.
Thank you. That was awesome.